All right, what's going on and welcome back. This is the 14th episode of the Tipped Out podcast with your host, Danny Christie from Dannychristygolf and Brandon Palmer from Balanced Performance Golf. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the top 3 things high handicappers do on the golf course that would be their faults or their mistakes. So, all right, I would say the first and foremost would be poor club selection. So a lot of times the high handicap golfer or the amateur golfer, they don't really know their yardages. So first tip would be get on a launch monitor and just find out your common yardages. Maybe hit 10 shots with each club and see what the average is. Don't just take your top best shot. I feel like that's kind of how high handicap golfers try and get around the course. Oh, it's 140 to the pin over water with a little bit of breeze. But if I really hit the 9 well, that'll be good. Well, if we just choke down a half inch on the 8 and make the same swing, it's probably going to be a lot better. So another thing for that, we don't account into the elements. That also goes into the club selection. So we got to look at wind, elevation, whether it be up or down, the lie that the ball is actually sitting on, the surrounding trouble, such as tree trouble, water hazards, bunkers, and then of course the pin location. So with all of those factors in place, then we want to play the percentage shot. So the shot you can pull off 8 out of 10 times, that is definitely what we have to be doing. If you don't have time to really work on your game, we just got to get our course management and our mental side of things improved as much as possible. I definitely don't think the average golfer or the high handicap golfer works on the mental approach or really course management much, if at all. So if we can improve any way without even, putting the club in our hand, I would definitely say that's the first place to look. If you're someone that doesn't have a lot of time or, commitment to the game.
Very good, Brandon. I like that one a lot. What do you got for number 2?
Number 2 would be committing to the shot. So now that we have all the elements sorted out, we have to commit to the shot, right? That's the biggest and foremost thing. Every time I feel like I've missed a putt, I've just kind of went against my gut or the read I had. So like I said, consistent golf comes from the consistent and effective practice. With that aside, we have to get the most out of our current game. So like I just previously said, if you don't have that much time on the course or you just, you're too busy with kids, work, school, whatever it may be, course management, mental approach, and just finding your yardages. So take the elements that we analyze from above, go with your gut decision. Most times that is going to be the one that's going to work out best for us. So keep it simple and timely. Of course, like I said, we want to kind of figure out the elements of maybe it's a putt, find out what's trouble, what's the green look like ahead, but don't take all day. So pick your target, go for the percentage shot, and play for the center or wide part of the green. Try and give yourself an uphill straight putt. So one last tidbit to committing to the shot. So before you even go through your pre-shot routine, fully commit to the shot in your mind. Say it in your head, I am prepared and committed, and this is the shot I want to hit. This is the club I want to use. This is the shape I want to hit. Just have a creative kind of thought and picture in your head before you hit. You see a lot of times Jason Day stepping behind the ball, closing his eyes, really envisioning the shot. Tiger like to hit a window. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not everybody's not the same out there on the course. So find what works for you, but definitely have some commitment and conviction in your game.
Very nice. I am going to cover a couple of those same things. And one thing I want to kind of add on to is you talked about having, going with your gut. I find a lot of times when you're not going with your gut, you're going to be hitting a shot with doubt, which we never want to do. So make sure, like you just mentioned, when you commit to a shot, we never want to hit a shot with doubt. So if you ever feel that, step off and don't be afraid to. So stepping off from a shot is totally the right play, and just never hit a shot with doubt.
That's 100%, man. I wish there's a good amount of shots I'd probably like to take back that I just didn't step off of. You hear something in the background, the ball oscillates, or something shifts, or you're just over it too long. Like if you take your time, this is how I like to think about it. I think it was in the book Zen Golf that I read this. You will take more time striking that shot and having it go, the shot you're not ready or committed to, having that go offline, maybe even a putt, rather than step off, go back through your routine and hit a committed shot. You're definitely going to take more time hitting the uncommitted shot and then having to go track it down and hit it again. So may as well
That
commit to
reload
it.
takes a lot of extra time too.
Exactly, takes a lot of time and a couple extra beats off the heart, staying up there. State.
All right, what do you got for number 3, dude?
Okay, so we already talked about club selection, committing to the shot. Now we're to the green, so avoiding 3 putts and how to do that. So high handicap golfers definitely fall in love with the line. So on longer lag putts, they get far too caught up on line, which way the ball is going to break. Oh, it's a double breaker, all that kind of stuff. All we're really trying to do is get it to the hole. Simply put, we're just trying to find a general line for that putt, and we're not trying to really force it. That's the biggest thing. I've had so many putts, downhill birdie putts, and all you think about is make that birdie, and you pretty near putt it off the green. So what we're trying to do is just make our second putt. We're trying to have a 2 putt here. If it goes in, that's just an extra bonus. We want to focus entirely on where you want the ball to finish, not so much the back of the cup, but it all depends on, of course, a little bit of the break if it's uphill, downhill. So a really super simple drill to practice that, just your lag putting in general, would be place an alignment rod, the flag stick, or a club behind the hole, roughly probably a pace, maybe 2 feet. And you want to place a tee around 20 feet shy of the hole. So now we're putting from 20 feet. Drop 3 golf balls, set up in your putting stance. And all I want you to do is make practice strokes next to the ball while looking at the cup. Look where you want the ball to finish. Far too often, we're going to be stuck over in our putting setup, and we're just staring right at the back of the ball. And now those couple feet, those 4 feet, 5 feet, we're looking down at the ball. That's all our brain is calculating. It's not painting the picture and having a mental image of where the ball has to go. So let's get our energy going out towards the cup. So got our 3 golf balls, make your practice strokes, step up, hit your putt. Do that with those 3. Try and mirror that length and the same speed in that practice stroke. I remember clear as day, I sent Danny a video when I was putting at 𝐓𝐢𝐩𝐸, and he was like, what are you trying to do there with your your pre-shot with putting? And I was like, oh, that's just kind of what I do. I didn't really have a goal or a reason for making 3 practice strokes. I made them very short and abrupt. And it just didn't really match the putt I wanted to hit. So my mind was really thrown off when I'd step up to that putt and try and hit it, a 40-foot putt when I was just making, 2-foot practice strokes. Like that didn't work. So biggest thing, envision the shot. Don't fall in love with the line and just practice your lag putting. Get it to the cup, give it a chance, tap that putt in for par, bogey, hopefully not double. And so from there, that little extra, so we did that from 20 feet, then go ahead and do the same thing from 30 and 40 feet with 3 golf balls. All we're trying to do is get it to the cup, and in between that alignment rod, the club, what we had beyond the cup possibly, but not over it. So that is my top 3 faults, a little bit of a fix in there for our high handicap golfers. Really want to work on the things outside of the game, within the game, but outside of our own swing, I mean. So we don't want to miss it twice. Talking about missing it twice is just picking the wrong club, not taking into account the lie into the grain, with the grain, the pin being a back pin and then hitting it right to it, having it go long. Those little things, those mental errors that we can clean up, our course management, just getting around the course in an easier manner, picking a 3-wood off the tee if we're struggling with driver, punching a pitching wedge in there rather than trying to flop the 60. Those little things will really improve our game, and we don't even have to improve our swing. So those are my 3, brother. You have any comments about those?
Last little thing I can add on that last one that I like is when I'm trying to work on my speed control, and that's something that I tie into my routine, is when I'm taking my practice strokes, I'm always looking at the hole and feeling my stroke and just letting that putter head swing. So a lot of times people will take their practice strokes looking at their putter, but I kind of like to relate it more to like basketball or hockey or any other sport like that, where you're looking at your target or your goal or what you're trying to accomplish when you go. When you shoot a basketball, you're looking at the hoop. When you shoot a hockey puck, you're looking at the net, right? So I like to kind of tie that into golf, where I'm looking at the hole for my practice strokes, kind of just letting my mind my eyes match what my body's trying to do.
100%. If we remember back in 2015, Jordan Spieth, when he had that real stint of, on some of his shorter putts, just looking at the hole, I remember, I'm a fanboy. So I started doing it myself, and it just made sense. Like, it comes in spurts, it's not for everybody. It's a great drill. We do drills at the academy, eyes closed, one-handed, looking at the cup, bunch of different variations for speed control and just our technique with putting in general. But if you guys have any questions about things I've said, the things Danny's going to say, or just in general about the podcast, or want more clarification, or maybe even just a little more in-depth kind of touch on what we talk about here in these podcasts, go ahead and hit us up on Instagram. That's going to be tipped_out. Danny will throw it up on the screen somewhere. But yeah, definitely. It's cool to see some of you guys reaching out to us individually. But yeah, we really want to get some traffic going to the Tipped Out podcast, get that community going a little bit more, post on our socials, and then just be more consistent with our podcast. That's what we're trying to do. Danny's been killing it on the edits now. So we're getting our workflow going. So I think we're definitely going to be getting some good content up for you guys as we go forward. So with that being said, Danny, go ahead and hop into your three before I've had enough.
Yeah, so without further ado, these are my three. So the first one I'm looking at is tip number one to lower that handicap. And the biggest mistake higher handicappers make is not enough short game practice, or just not enough practice in general, but I'm going to specify in short game. So looking here, we've got roughly 40% of shots during a round are putts, if you think about that. So whether you're shooting 99 or 72, that's going to relate to the amount of putts you have. So it's roughly 40% of shots or putts. And then if you think about it, then probably about 20% of your other shots are in that short game area where you're chipping or pitching or inside like 50 yards, 100 yards. It could be even more. So you should be practicing at least 60% of your time should be short game, you think, right? If it makes up that much of the game. So got to be practicing your short game, practicing it more than your long game. And then, when I get into that phase of how I'm going to chip, I want to have a reliable bump and run, basically. So the way I would teach it is have a reliable bump and run, and then only flop or really try to hit the high one when you can't bump and run. And there are videos on my TikTok that will show you how to hit the bump and run. So if you want to hit that, go ahead and look there. And it's pretty simple. And if you just practice that with different clubs, you can hit a variety of different shots. And that's really, you don't need too much more. And then with putting,
what's the TikTok username, bro? Don't leave us hanging.
Oh, well, it's Dannychristygolf, like everything. You'll see it at the beginning of the pod, but yeah, Dannychristygolf, TikTok and Instagram. And one other way I like to work on my chipping is to utilize tight lies. Okay. A lot of problems people have when they're chipping is they're not hitting the ball first. And when we don't compress that ball first, we don't get consistent results of our ball flight. Even though it's a small flight, it is a flight. So that small ball flight, and you can take advantage of maybe a chip on a green. Be careful with that one, but out of the fringe and hitting those little shots, and you'll start to get a feel for hitting the ball first, which is crucial to hitting good chips. 100%. Now putting, I got drills that, putting is more, there's a million ways to do it, and you can get away with a lot of technique. Make sure you put a good roll on your putts, which end over end, once you get an idea of that's going to help your speed a lot. One way you can check that would be with a half colored ball or just drawing a line on your ball. And then a couple drills I like for putting would be the ring of fire from 3 feet and 5 feet. So that's just kind of putting 8 balls or however many balls you want in a circle around the hole. That gives you an idea of a lot of different putts, because if you can get on a hole on a slope, you'll get it downhill, you'll get an uphill, you'll get a right to left, you'll get a left to right. So getting a feel for that is great, and just hitting those putts over and over again through a routine and getting confident making those putts is huge. And I don't even need to talk about lag putting. Brandon did a great job on that. So moving into tip number 2, I've got poor course management. Okay. That's a mistake high handicappers make. Poor course management is pretty simple, but it's just a matter of taking the time to actually think about it. So kind of the first step to being able to manage a course effectively would be to know your stats. So that way you know your strong suit and your weakness in your game. So you can kind of play and look at the course and game plan to figure out, well, how can I attack this course from what my strength is. That's really important. All that really takes is effort. So if you really are going to play in a competitive round and you want to play better, there you go. Do a little research on the course, figure out how you want to attack it. And then when you're actually out there, it's pay attention to the layout of a hole. Pay attention to where the flag is. Always look at the hole from the green back. So if I see the pin on the right side of the hole, and maybe there's a bunker short right, and there's another bunker back right, I probably don't want to be right, because then I'll be short-sighted also. So that's a good term to know, short-sighted. I'll touch on that in a little bit. So pick a line where you're going to have a lot of green if you miss to work with. So conservative line, confident swing is what I'd like to match that up as. And leave yourself your favorite yardage. Okay, par fives. Don't just bash it up as close to the green as you can. Sometimes it might be best if you've practiced a lot and have that 100-yard shot nailed down, lay it up to 100 yards, go from there. And then my last little one is take your medicine if you're sick. All right. So everyone loves the term take your medicine, but I don't love just saying take your medicine, because sometimes you don't always have to. But take your medicine if you're sick. So if you hit it over in the trees and the gap you're going to hit it through is an inch wide, you're sick. So you better just punch it out sideways. But if you have something to work with, maybe there's just some limbs overhanging, kind of take that into account. Well, have I successfully pulled this off, and am I confident in being able to punch this below these limbs? Then you might be able to go for it. But again, that comes with a little experience and just a little thinking. Okay. And number 3 is
Before we get into number three, I want to put something out there. So Danny talked about tracking your stats, knowing your stats, kind of really diving in and self-diagnosing your game that way. So if you are listening wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're here on YouTube watching, next time you go play a round of golf, track your stats, fairway in regulation, green in regulation, and your putts, and send a screenshot of that to tipped_out on Instagram. And Danny and I will give you guys a free swing analyzation with that. So all you got to do to redeem that free lesson swing analyzation is going to be to track your stats the next round you play, and send that to us at tipped_out podcast, or Instagram, and we'll take care of that for you. So on to number 3, Daniel, sorry to interrupt.
No, that was, I love that idea. That's a great idea. I'm definitely flying, so that was good to kind of slow it down. So number 3, don't let the past control your future. This one definitely applies, I feel like, more to when we're playing competitive golf, because, then we start to put a lot more pressure on ourselves. But, whenever you get in that moment where you're upset after a bad shot, take a step back, give yourself time to calm down. It's really important not to let that last shot affect the next shot. So I like to tell people, your past has no control over your future. It only controls it if you let it, right? If you get upset, if you get angry and you don't think and you rush into that next shot. So give yourself time, take it easy on yourself. Not even the pros hit every shot perfect, and move on with a clear head and an open mind on that next shot.
I love that.
It's gonna wrap it up.
It's so true. It's something we all need to hear sometimes. We can get so caught up in it. It's just a game, and we are in total control. The ball is not moving most of the time. So it's crucial that we make the right call and just really learn from our mistakes. Mostly that's what about tracking our stats is. Really, it's going to see where we need improvement and where we're currently struggling. There's going to be far fewer days on the course where everything is going right than the days that you're going to have to really scramble because your driver's not working or the putter's real hot because but you're missing greens. So always got to try and match up what's going on for us. So it's crucial that we know where our weak points are, and that we really just strengthen what we're already strong at. I feel like that's what we do as humans a lot is we focus on our weaknesses almost, and then that almost like backtracks on our strengths. Then we'd love to be well-rounded in the game or really in anything, but sometimes we just don't like put forth our strengths enough. You know what I mean? If you're really good at that bump and run and you don't have to hit that flop shot, don't just because you saw it on Golf Digest or your buddies are doing like there's just a lot of times where if we just hit the shot that is going to work for us, play to our own par. That's another thing we got to worry about out there is high handicappers, beginner golfers, or golfers that aren't real avid golfers. They go out a couple times a year, play the tees that are going to fit you best and make you have some fun or let you have some fun, and then just hit the shots that are going to stay in front of you and keep it on the course. I'd much rather see someone hit an iron off the tee and then have a hybrid or a wood in just because now they hit the fairway, and it's going to be much easier to now hit a green in regulation. Okay, now you missed the green. Hit your bump and run. Learned a lag putt from watching the Tipped Out podcast, and now look at you. Just bogey golfer out there,
Which for some, that's pretty good for a lot of people. Bogey golf. And actually
really
bogey
is,
golf,
man.
no
I
shaving
think,
shots or giving yourself 5-footers.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch on real quick that I didn't is explaining short side. I don't know if a lot of people know, maybe not everybody knows what short side means. Anytime you are facing a shot where you have more rough and fairway to go through than you have green to go through, if that makes sense, that would be short-sided. So if you're 20 yards away from the green and you've got 15 yards of rough to go over and only 5 yards of green to work with, that would be what I would consider short side when it calls for that higher, softer shot. And if you can avoid that, well, now that plays into our game plan of hitting bump and runs already, right? So
exactly. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like we just hit shots around the course and we don't think about what the next shot is going to be. It's a real fine line between like staying in the moment, hitting the shot at hand, but also having it be like chess. Where do I move this piece to then have the next best chance, to have a good move on the following. So that's just how we have to think about it. It's thinking ahead while staying in the moment. I like to kind of think about it that way because like you just so well put, dude, if we make a bad swing, we didn't think about where we could miss it or where the miss would be to kind of get us that bump and run or the easiest up and down. Now, how often do we practice that Phil Mickelson flop shot or the super deep rough? Probably not too often or enough to get up and down. So like Danny said, try and get it, find where your miss is going to be, guard against it, and then hit that bump and run. Good lag putt. And the rest is history, brother.
Totally. And I think I want to end this with a Bob Rotella quote that just popped into my mind after what we just talked about.
Hit me with it.
And the quote is, a golfer's potential depends primarily on his ability to chip and putt and think. And that was not exactly it, but I was very close to it. And that's what we're talking about. It's how you approach and how you game plan and how smart you are when you play. And just your short game, that's going to save you the most shots. And that's what high handicappers struggle with the most.
I would completely agree, brother. So there you have it, guys. Our top 3 currently for, the misses that high handicap golfers have, the mistakes they make, beginner golfers, that type of thing. So once again, this has been the Tipped Out Podcast, episode 14. Go ahead, give Dannychristygolf a follow. Brandon Palmer at balance_performance on Instagram. And then once again, guys, so reach out to us on Instagram for Tipped Out, the actual podcast where both of us are collaborating on. That will be tipped_out. Once again, send us your next round. Send us your stats right on your scorecard. We'll get you guys a analyzation and a free lesson from one of us. So we'll go ahead. We'll wrap it up right there, brother. I'm pumped already for the next episode. We've got some really cool stuff coming for you guys. So stay here with us wherever you're getting your podcast. If it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Turn that notification bell on for us, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace and love, brother.
Peace and love, G.
Contraband got that dope.
Sometimes I don't feel alright. New girl on my face, she says she need a butt. That's why I don't feel alright. Catch me in a good mood, I just might.
Stop talking, I'm breaking the bank, yeah.